second tranche was released earlier this year after securing a pact with our external creditors. The very, very painful domestic debt exchange program which happened last year. So essentially to tell us the health of the country. It's a message on the state of the nation, and he's doing that in accordance with Article 67 of the Constitution. So these are the things that he will be telling us. Obviously, how the economy is doing post-COVID recovery under the IMF program. He'll touch on education, free SHS, the interventions that are being made, the comments about whether review means cancel, issues about the challenges with free SHS and whether government is amenable to, say, a national stakeholders conference or a national stakeholders forum to look at best ways to fine-tune the free SHS if there is anything wrong with that. Government has always maintained the position that you can't get policy implementation 100% right, so there will be issues, but that doesn't mean that it's not worked well. Obviously, free SHS has we've almost averagely 1.2 billion cedis every year from our annual budget funding amount, from our oil proceeds goes into free SHS. So we're expecting him. Of course, the fight against corruption. I personally have been listening to some of his speeches from since he became president. 2007, he promised to set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor. That has been done. He also promised to amend the asset declaration regime. That has not been done. As far as we know, that has been incorporated in the new Code of Conduct for Public Officers Bill. But that bill wasn't passed in the 7th Parliament and hasn't even submitted to has been submitted to the 8th Parliament. And the 8th Parliament is in our last session. And we know how very important the asset declaration regime is. The current regime where you just declare your assets and it just goes into an envelope somewhere. Nobody knows what it is. You can't. The public can't assess and find out. Before you became a minister, you had 2 houses. Now, after becoming a minister, you have 45 houses.
I like that.
We should be able to do the differences. You know, the promise to deal with illegal mining. How has it gone? Promise to deal with illegal mining. How has it gone? And related matters. So it's, I mean, these are issues that we expect the president to speak about, and we've been tracking all that, some of the things that he said over the past few years. So even to develop an integrated bauxite and mining system, or I mean, what do you call it? To have a framework to mine the country's iron ore, to mine the country's bauxite and all of that. But some of it has been done, the contract has been given, but it's not coming to full fruition. So see, these are some of the things that we expect to hear from the president tomorrow. Taxes, obviously, impact on businesses, education, very important. Of course, this president fought and won his presidency on the promise of free SHS. How well is it doing from the viewpoint of stakeholders and all of that?
Well, we'll see if we can speak to some of the stakeholders much later, because they've been talking especially about the educational sector, and they're worried that, I mean, the capitation grant has been in arrears for 3 terms. And so if that's the case, they're asking why some money is not being channeled, you know, into that. But again, also asking for more funding for free SHS. But let's take a look at some of the promises. We have some graphics to show you. And first one, he promised to deal with illegal mining and prosecute persons responsible for stealing seized excavators. The status at the moment, illegal mining still persists in Ghana, as we all know. Many forest reserves invaded and destroyed since the president's address, and no one has been prosecuted for the theft of the seized
this is illegal mining where the president, not in the State of the Nation address, but at a GBA conference, meeting stakeholders, he said that he is willing to put his presidency on the line for illegal mining. But it looks like if you go deep into the forest, if you go into just recently we're just having a discussion. Civil society groups have even met him about laws that are being changed. Kakum National Park, we're told that there are people who wanted to go and do prospecting in a whole national park like Kakum. People want to go and prospect because the laws are being changed and the rest. So, I mean, the jury is still out there when it comes to illegal mining and whether the president has dealt with it. Of course, how it was much of a big issue being discussed 3 or 4 years ago, it's no longer there. But we also don't have the indication that it's been rooted out totally. So it's something that is that got the president to put his presidency on the line. We need to see very definite action in relation to that.
Well, let's take a look at the next promise that he made in the State of the Nation address last year, so we can also juxtapose that to what is the reality on the ground. Dealing with corruption through effective budgetary allocation and passing of new laws. And as it stands now, new laws like Witness Protection Act 2018, Act 959, the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2018, Act 959, the Right to Information Act 2019, Act 989, and the Companies Act 2019, Act 992 were all passed. Perception of corruption, however, is still rife.
Yes, so kudos to himself and his team. All these laws have been passed, but Ghana still has been where it is, at least for the last 3 years.
Yes.
On Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index. We haven't moved forward, we haven't come back. We are still where we are.
Yeah.
And that's a very, very credible barometer when it comes to looking at the prevalence of corruption in the country.
Yeah.
Transparency International is very credible. So if they are telling us that in this country, based on their survey and the work that they have done, you don't have corruption reducing or going up, and you have stagnated for the past 3 or 4 years, it should tell us a lot about whether we are making progress in a fight against corruption or not. It may be good to say, well, we've not retrogressed, but we're expecting to see progress based on his own report. And as I mentioned, the asset declaration, for me, it's very, very important, because we need to make example of people that, and here, I mean, Akufo-Addo makes beautiful speeches. Very wonderful. I remember him saying that if you want to make money,
and it's not in
his government. Yeah. If you want to make money, go into the private, the private sector. So if really, how do we assess that someone has gotten into government? He had 5 pairs of shoes. After 8 years, we assess again. We find out that he has a huge number of things.
Yeah.
That means that he's a suspect for corruption. Look at Public Accounts Committee, the what do you call it? The civil servants, the people who come there. All sorts of colossal amount of money they steal every year from our coffers. Not even the politicians, even the civil servants, every year. But they still come there and it's become a talk shop. They are referred to, nothing is being done. When you do that, you incentivize corruption. You make people think that let's go into the public sector or let's go into politics, get government appointments, and because that's where we have access to the state largesse and do for ourselves what we want to do. So the fight against corruption is very, very important. Special prosecutor, he promised it in 2017. It's been set up. 2 special prosecutors after. Of course, we say that the axe of justice grinds slowly. But, I mean...
When you become an aquanuma, it's slower than usual for you,
so for a special prosecutor himself to come out to say that he's aquanuma, it speaks to the support. Martin Amidu, the kind of complaints he made about resource into his office, thankfully we know that it's no more a challenge. But what about collaboration amongst all of these? There's Shraj, there's Yoko, there's Police CID, Special Prosecutor. We should see the fostering of much more collaborative efforts to root out corruption. Because see, if we do not do anything about it, that's what gets other actors, agitated and would want to do something that we don't want to. At least we're enjoying our democracy, and I was telling you about how every 4 years we have the opportunity to either change or maintain people, but it's not enough. We should move from an electoral democracy to a developmental democracy, a developmental state where people enjoy the dividends of being a democratic state. That I vote and I get what you call, I get benefits from that. That's why I'm happy that this 2024 election is shaping up to be an election on policy. So Mahama is talking about 24-hour economy. Bawumia is talking about digitalization, reforming tax system and the rest. That is how politics should be. Because at the end of the day, it should count. Who you vote for should count. It should reflect in your life. But when politicians make promises and they don't fulfill it.
That's because we don't even have a national agenda. And so for some politicians, they have said that instead of coming out with a manifesto every 4 years, how about we have a national agenda where all of you follow? And so if one person starts and halts at a point, the next person comes to continue. And that's how we can ensure that there's development to a large extent.
I disagree with people who say that we don't have a national agenda. The directive principles of state policy in our constitution. Let's go to chapter 6 of our constitution. What is called the directive principles of state policy. Or if you look at it, and I'll be happy if we can put it on the television. Chapter 6 of our constitution spells out the developmental goals of this country. And apart from that, it talks about free education. It talks about equal opportunities for employment. It talks about a number of things that the framers of the Constitution sat down and thought through. Chapter 6.
But why is there no continuity? Because one person stops, and this person comes and says that monies were misappropriated, and so we're going to halt this, and investigates. And then there's really never anything that's done until the next 8 years.
That is the discussion we should be having as to why we haven't taken seriously Chapter 6 of the Constitution, which talks about the developmental aspirations of ourselves, of our country. It's very, very important. We need to get them to commit to do that. If we are going to do that...
Yeah. Anyway, while Duke works on that as well, let's take a look at the next promise, and that'll be the promise number 3 for today. Exploitation and refinery of bauxite to create an iron and steel industry worth $2 billion. What is the status at the moment? It is yet to be achieved. Company set up to oversee project, Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, GIDEC, just this year, January 2024, announced the selection of a strategic partner to enable it to undertake the project. Yes,
so GIDEC, there's GIDEC and then there's GISDEC. GIDEC is looking at the aluminium side. So we all remember Extin Cubic, right?
Yeah.
The Him bauxite. Now a new strategic partner, I think it's Rockshore, if I stand to be... Yes, Rockshore. They are the ones that they've been designated to look into that. Because this is a country that has had an aluminium smelter since the 50s, since Nkrumah's days. So why are we not able to... Why do we still... mine bauxite in its raw form and we cannot refine it here? We have an aluminium smelter. We should be the hub for a proper integrated aluminium system. So it's a good idea, but the process, the speed at which the process is proceeding is a problem. It's been 8 years. It's now that a strategic partner has been selected. Of course, due diligence, you go through all of those things. It's nice, but what has happened to it? We should look at. And also, apart from that, there is the GISDEC, which is the iron ore in Shaney, and then there's another in the Oti region. Also, a strategic partner has been selected. But at the end of the day, what I want to see also is for these minerals to, as a champion would say, to the commanding heights of the economy should be in the hands of Ghanaians, of Ghanaian companies. Put 2, 3, 4 Ghanaian investors, financiers, put them together to mine, so that we don't have, what do you call it? Foreigners come, partner, use Ghanaians as front, take the money and take it all away. How are we going to develop? At least they will not repatriate the profits. The profits will remain here, will be used to develop. So that's why I'm happy that for the 2 strategic partners who've been selected, Rockshore we know is Ghanaian, and then I think an affiliate of the Magdan Group is also working on the iron ore, iron ore in the Oti region. So these things are very, very, very important. For me, another thing we need to look at is also the airline industry. What has happened to Ghana International Airlines? That were promised. We are told that a strategic partner, despite his group and then a number of people, I think Ashanti Airlines, that's the name. Yes, Ashanti, it's been given to them. What has become of it?
We're waiting for the Cape Coast Airport.
What? Of course, that's also another one.
Maybe when that comes, then we can start
talk about Ashanti Airlines. Come on, it was very embarrassing during the AFCON. Countries like Mauritania, they have a national airline.
Yeah, their own airline.
And Cote d'Ivoire had to come and ferry us from there. Morocco.
They were doing us a favor.
If you go to Bole, I'm sure you've transited through Ethiopia, Bole. It's a sight to behold.
Yeah.
When you are landing at the Bole International Airport, you see hordes of aeroplanes there.
Yeah, but the airport is chaotic anyway. But anyway,
I'm talking about how
I just had to say that because
I'm just talking about how their airline is.
I understand.
How the airline
it's beautiful.
Like,
they travel all around.
It's their national, the highest foreign income earner for their country.
They're doing a good job.
Yes, everywhere.
They are.
And we can't do that in our country.
But GD, Ashanti Airlines will come. Make no worry. Anyway, Duke, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm sure we'll take a closer look at the other aspects of it as well as the day progresses. And so look forward to having Duke. I'm sure News Central and Evening News as well, 360. Maybe we'll have you join us. But anyway, we would like to hear from you, our viewers, as to what exactly your expectations are. Have you done any comparison between what was promised last year and what the status would be at the moment? It will be a pleasure to hear from you this morning. So we'll activate the phone line shortly so you can speak to us and tell us what you think about the situation. But I'm going to say thank you to Duke.
Absolutely.
I know you have to go back to work. Yes, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. So, Coco, do we take a break and come back so we can pick the calls? I guess so. Okay. Coco, say something. Okay, we haven't gotten a call yet. Okay, Duke, you have to stay with me. Right. Don't go anywhere. But yes, like I said, we're activating the phone lines now. And so please call us. Let us know what your expectations are on this matter. In fact, while we wait and while we still have Duke here, let's talk about unemployment.
Yeah.
Because that's also another aspect of it. I know that the President touched on Youth Start and how that is going to provide jobs for a number of people. He gave us an update on that. But if we have the statistical service coming out to indicate that unemployment is still high.
1.8 million
Yes.
Ghanaians are unemployed. 1.8 million.
It begs the question,
14.3%.
what have we done? Because we constantly hear the government say we've created 2.1 million jobs, etc., and yet there's still a lot of young people
That tells
who
you
still don't
that
have jobs.
the economy is not growing fast enough to be able to averagely.
Accommodate the-
You have 150 to 200,000 students graduating from our tertiary institutions every year. So if you don't have the economy expand to the level where you can absorb these people, we've moved on from the days of my grandfathers where before they graduated, there were companies at Legon recruiting them, to the point where today, and there are people I graduated Legon with in 2015 who still don't have a job.
2015?
Yes, I graduated from Legon in 2015. And till now, there are some of my mates who do not have jobs.
The erstwhile finance minister says you should think of going into entrepreneurship because
but you see,
the
there are
public
people
sector
with brilliant,
cannot accommodate anybody.
absolutely, and the public sector has never been a very good. I mean, I am for even currently. I think we have a huge private sector.
Yeah.
A public sector.
Public
sorry,
sector,
it's the
yes.
private sector that should be incentivized. So we've heard about YouStart.
Hold on, we start. I think we have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What's your name, sir?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Mashoud Ibrahim from Kanda.
You're welcome.
I think tomorrow's state of the nation address is not going to be any different. It's just going to be the usual lies and promises of President Akufo-Addo and his over-bloated government.
Oh.
The truth is that these people have promised Ghanaians that they are going to move from production from taxation to production. What did they do? They rather tax Ghanaians. In fact, they actually introduced new taxes and impose it by force on Ghanaians. Look at the e-levy. These people said e-levy is going to solve all Ghanaians' problems. And they introduced it, forced it. They even fought at Parliament because of e-levy. Then, at the end, they themselves came out to tell us that the e-levy that they were thinking, the money cannot solve Ghana's problem. And for that matter, they are going to IMF. IMF too does not solve our problem. But they want to break the eight. I can just understand them. Anyway, I am pleading to all Ghanaians
All right.
that on the 7th of December, they should come out in their numbers and vote massively for JGM and the great NDC.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, clearly he says that there's not much that's expected. Let's hear from you as well. We'd like to speak to you on the show. Tell us what your expectations are tomorrow. But you're talking about YouStart.
Yes. So YouStart, brilliant idea. But the point is, how many people can have access to funds from YouStart if you don't? How transparent are the processes?
Yeah.
You see how things are. It's a brilliant idea. But if I'm in my village in Kofiasi in Asante Mampo, and I don't know somebody who will go and introduce me whatever it is, will I get access to this fund? I have a brilliant idea. We know they always mention the chicken man as one of the success stories of NEIP and government funding projects and the rest. It's all and good. But how many chicken mans can we create around? We can do that. Look at what he's done with the business from seed funding from government, from winning a business pitch competition. But if I have a brilliant business idea somewhere, can I just get funding through a very transparent process that will look at the quality of my idea and wouldn't have me knowing a party chairman somewhere or knowing somebody somewhere?
So it's more about the transparency.
Absolutely. These are brilliant ideas that can, because if I'm able to create, you have someone on the phone.
We have a call. Abena, good morning. Hello, Abena, good morning. Abena, can you hear me? Good morning, Abena.
Good morning, Bella.
Oh, there you are. I'm fine, thank you. How are you doing as well?
I'm fine.
Talk to us, Abena.
Bella.
Are your expectations high for tomorrow?
Not at all, but we are in the hands of God. Bella, what's happening to planting of food and jobs? Bella, as parents, we are so free in this country. Now, when you go to the message, it is okay. Please fortunate to be as a matter of fact or trade. How much do we try to keep your children?
Abena,
These people are a disappointment to this country.
Why do you say that? What's going on?
Bella, you go to the market, you can't afford to buy the normal things you buy.
Yeah.
And they come and then they tell us lies. Tomorrow, we are not really expecting much. Yeah, me, I'm not really expecting much.
Are you disappointed in the president?
Yeah, it is wrong. Thank you. Thank you.
Abna seems very emotional this morning.
Food.
I
Food
mean,
is
it's
talking
not
about
an
food.
easy, yeah.
He's talking about food. Food poverty.
Yeah.
If people cannot buy food, and I mean, how do they exist? How do they feed? If prices are skyrocketing on the market, you get the point. So we've heard about planting for food and jobs and the money that has been sunk into it. We had the old agric minister, former agric minister, set up a market at the agric ministry, but it fizzled out after a few months. Plantain market fizzled out after a few months. We need to be thinking sustainable solutions.
So selling plantain at the ministry is not sustainable?
It definitely was not good.
Michael, good morning, Michael.
Hello, Bella. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts on tomorrow's State of the Nation address?
Well, frankly speaking, I don't expect anything new, just the normal rhetoric, because this economy, some of us don't know what to say or to expect tomorrow, because after graduation, we don't get jobs, and we find our way to learn online, do online classes, sleepless nights, start our own small businesses. In fact, I studied finance, and now I have to go and do digital marketing online. And I had small clients I'm working with, doing small to get my daily bread. Because of the exchange rate, we can't even afford online marketing for them, and they're all terminating the contract. So we don't know where this country is heading towards. It's not like the youth, we are lazy or something, but some of us are just trying our best, but nothing is moving. So some of us don't expect anything new. We just expect a normal, yes, we've done this, we've achieved this, we'll do this, yes. Those are the things we expect tomorrow.
Okay, well, thank you so much for speaking to us. And of course, like you said, we're just talking about entrepreneurship. Yeah. So it goes beyond just transparency in getting the funding. But even when you can fund your own small-scale business, the foreign exchange will expose your business, because then you cannot even manage
the ease of doing business, the enabling environment, as you would like. I mean, what tax rebates exist for people who are starting that, who are employing minimum? There are multinationals in this country.
Yeah.
What system or structure are we putting in place to ensure that they can employ more people? What linkages are we creating in the value chain to ensure that instead of employing just one person, they can employ 2 or 3 more people? That's how you deal with unemployment, not employing more people in the governments then making things redundant. Yeah. That's not how developed countries develop. People with brilliant ideas, and we should look at the solutions that are coming up these days. Greenhouse farming. I know there are things like greenhouse farming. We have the African Continental Free Trade Area. We host it. Yeah. What can we do with other countries? Countries like Nigeria and Co. import salt. We have the Songo project here in Adana close. What can we do when it comes to creating these linkages to ensure that people have jobs? People have jobs. I mean, if you give a man a job, you set up about 30 or 40% of his life. 6 years, 8 years after school, people do not have jobs.
Well, Duke, thank you so much for joining us. And this is where we wrap up on this conversation. Thank you all for calling as well. You can join us on social media in case you were unsuccessful in trying to reach us directly via phone. The hashtag is TV3NewDay. We'll be back with a conversation with Kel Songs. He has a new one, and we're all ears for it.